The federal government has defended the disbursement of 1.14 billion naira for the purchase of 10 SUVs for the Republic of Niger. Minister of Finance's decision is to enable Niger to safeguard our territory in the best interest of Nigeria's security. Also, Nigeria's Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, has assured Nigerians that the 2023 elections will hold, that the country will be secure. Adesoa here reports.
A document from the Ministry of Finance showing that the President approved the release of funds in February 2022 and a contract awarded to Kara Motors Nigeria Limited to supply the sports utility vehicles for the Republic of Niger is sparking outrage among Nigerians. Critics are questioning the priority of the government's funding of a foreign entity during an economic downturn. Fielding questions from State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Finance justifies the purchase of 10 Toyota Land Cruiser V8 vehicles for neighboring country Niger.
Let me just say that over time, Nigeria has had to support its neighbors, especially immediate neighbors, to enhance their capacity to secure their countries as it relates to us. This is not the first time that Nigeria has supported Niger, Cameroon, or Chad, and the President makes an assessment as to what is required based on the request of their presidents, and such requests are approved and the interventions are provided. Is to enhance their capacity to protect their own territory as it relates to security also in Nigeria. Well, Nigerians have a right to ask questions, but also the President has a responsibility to make an assessment of what is in the best interest of the country, and I cannot question that decision myself.
On his part, the Minister of Information and Culture responds to the alarm raised by the civil society groups over the threat of insecurity to the 2023 elections.
Yes, it is true that some groups have been worried and concerned whether, given the state of insecurity in the country, there can be elections. But I can assure you there will be elections, because the federal government would do everything possible, not just to make sure there's election, but to secure the country. I'm sure you heard yesterday from the President that the commanders have been given everything they need, and they've been given all the powers they need to bring this insurgency and this banditry to an end. As for the issue of whether the service chiefs should resign or not, I think only the appointer can make such a decision.
The Council approved memos from various ministries, including the sum of 2.2 billion naira for operational vehicles and security gadgets for the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
60 utility vehicles, including communication equipment installed in the vehicles, at the sum of 1,835,108,613 naira 95 kobo. In addition to that, Council also approved supply of various security gadgets and accessories to support security agents in the FCT at the total sum of 847,139,764 naira 57 kobo.
The weekly meeting began with the swearing-in of 3 new permanent secretaries to fill vacancies in the civil service. The hybrid meeting also had in attendance the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who has been away recuperating from a surgery. Adesoa Omoruan, Arise News.
The Senate... Okay, so Tunu, I mean, Dr. Abati, your take on this, Tunu, starting from you first, your take on all of this that has been going on since yesterday.
Well, it does appear as if Nigeria is continuing to play the role of the buoyant big brother. But unfortunately, our finances are not what they used to be back in the 70s, in the Gowon era, where we had all the money and didn't know how to spend it, as he famously said. And it just appears to be a bit deluded to be playing Father Christmas when we have serious economic issues in this country. We have the ASU strike, which for me is a complete national scandal. And this is what we do with our money. So it's a case of not having enough resources and not managing the precious little we have properly. However, it must be said that 1.4 billion naira is really a drop in the ocean for what ASU, for example, requires, which is, they're presenting a bill of 1 trillion naira to the federal government. It also must be said that Niger and Nigeria share a long land border, around 1,600 kilometers, that has to be manned properly. Perhaps these vehicles are for that purpose. For our selfish reasons, it's not some kind of altruistic sentiment of just handing them these vehicles. That is to help us. That should be properly explained exactly what Niger Republic will be using those vehicles to do. Because we do have this tripartite border patrol with Nigeria, Niger Republic, and Benin. So it should be made very specific exactly what is the purpose and how is this in our interest. You'll recall President Trump's campaign when he was talking about build the wall and Mexico will pay for it. That for me was very key because he was telling the American people he's reacting to the migrant crisis, but the bill will not be footed by you, the American taxpayer. Mexico will pay. In the end, he was not able to deliver on that promise. It's actually Biden that has gotten Mexico to cough up $1.5 billion to man the border, the U.S.-Mexico border. It's in the interest of America to stem the flow of migrants, same as it's in the interest of Nigeria to stem the flow of bandits and weapons and what have you. It just needs to be explained properly what this is, how this is to the benefit of Nigerians. It's not enough to say we're giving this to the Niger Republic, the president wants to do it, and that's that. Yesterday, we were talking about how President Buhari said he needs a concerted effort, that no one nation can curb this menace. And it did sound like buck passing. But it can also, it's all about communication and proper communication and explaining this is why we're doing what we're doing. And this is the benefit it will yield to the Nigerian public. And being sensitive, because you remember the huge outcry over the Kano, Katsina, Maradi train line, for example. Nigerians are sensitive to this notion that our president feels this allegiance to Niger Republic. So we must be thoroughly disabused of that. It needs to be properly explained in granular detail. Otherwise, all you do is create more suspicion, unfortunately.
Dr. Matthew?
Okay, this is the issue. We're dealing with a foreign policy matter. And the foreign policy process of Nigeria, the philosophy is that Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy process. That's how it's been since the times of Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa in the very first republic. Nigeria, in terms of its foreign policy choices, has always prioritized Africa. Okay, so this, has caused so much outcry because it was reviewed by an investigative journalist, David Hundeyin, who also backed up the revelation with very concrete evidence. But we do it every time. In our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have an Africa desk. Sometimes some presidents come, they appoint a junior foreign affairs minister whose job is to focus on Africa. Now, in this regard, what does this foreign policy option talk about? The assumption is that, look, Nigeria will do better as a country if it looks out for the interests of other African countries. Hence, under Balewa, we were involved in Africa. We got to the peak of it under Murtala Muhammad. You remember that famous involvement in the liberation of the frontline states, Angola, South Africa, Namibia. Nigeria was right at the center of all of that. Look at the leadership role that, President Obasanjo also provided across Africa, and from there, to the rest of the world. So Nigeria has this principle of Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. Now, we not only supported South Africa, Angola, Namibia, Botswana, all those countries for them to gain independence. We pay the salaries of workers in some African countries. So there is a lot out there that many Nigerians will not know. Perhaps if Nigerians know how much Nigeria has done for other African countries, some people will even, they will carry placard, as they seem to be doing now. We give vehicles to countries, you know, Sierra Leone, you know, Cameroon, Niger, all these countries. Some countries come to Nigeria and beg for free oil. Nigerian government support them. In fact, sometimes, in case people do not know, some of these African leaders, if they are traveling somewhere, Nigeria gives them an airplane from the presidential fleet to take them to and fro. So there's a lot out there. The question to ask is, okay, do we need to review our foreign policy process? Should Nigeria review the philosophy of its engagement with the rest of Africa? Now, the Minister of Budget, Finance, Budget and Planning, she was right when she was saying, look, okay, we do this all the time. And secondly, that, is in the interest of Nigeria for security reasons. Well, I'm a bit suspicious about that. How does donating luxury vehicles promote security of Nigeria? Okay? The other point that she did not make is that oftentimes these countries make the request. So what the request is for, you know, I do not know in this particular case. But why luxury cars? Then the civil society organizations that have also raised objections. Yes, they are right. At least one civil society group raised the question that you are buying 10 Toyota SUVs for 1.145 billion. What kind of SUVs, you know, would those ones be? I don't, even if each one is 50 million naira, 1.145 billion for just 10 vehicles. So you can question the cost. You can say that the cost is outrageous at the level of transparency and accountability. And people can also ask the question that the company that was given the approval by the president to supply the vehicles, did they go through open tender? So such questions can be legitimately raised. The final point to be made is that, yes, okay, even if Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy process, you ask the question, what do we gain from it? Because, you know, foreign policy is not supposed to be based on the principle of a Father Christmas engagement with the rest of the world. And that's the principal criticism of Nigeria's foreign policy objectives. Should we be doing Father Christmas? What do we gain in return? We went to Liberia to go and fight a war. Nigeria sponsored ECOMOG, spent a lot of money on ECOMOG. What has Nigeria benefited from Liberia? We supported Guinea. Guinea Equatorial, and no, not Guinea Equatorial, Guinea, the other Guinea. What did we gain from there? In many of these African countries, Nigerians are hated. Even in the frontline states, where we spent a lot of money, and we even educated a lot of people from Lesotho, from Botswana. All those students who were collecting a scholarship from the Nigerian government, and they were chasing the girls and competing with us when we were in the university. And they will get drunk, they will be dropping from second floor of the hostel. What did we gain from it? So these are the questions that we should raise. Why are you looking at me like that? No, they seem to have been more interested in chasing the girls rather than focusing on making good use of our scholarship. But anyway, that's on the hilarious side. But clearly, you know, maybe we need to take a second look at our foreign policy objectives. But Nigeria, that is where we are at this moment.
But can I just quickly say, sorry, Rufai, Boris Johnson slashed British foreign aid because Britain can no longer continue to sustain that level of foreign aid. You're not wedded to it.
And the point has to be made. Yes, Nigeria has a foreign policy slant where you do a lot for these countries. But the question is it reciprocal? We all saw how Nigerians were beaten in South Africa and killed. You talked about the frontline states. You can even add Zimbabwe to it, how we gave Zimbabwe $20 million on independence as a gift. But these countries treated it bad. You remember how Cameroon had a long drawn-out battle with Bakassi for us, about Bakassi with us, and they collected Bakassi from us.
A scandal.
A big scandal. So they don't treat us well in return. And it was a good point you made about South Africa. We all know the likes of Thabo Mbeki came here. They even stayed around 1004 here. But they don't treat us well in return. But my grouse about this is the fact that we can't continue to do this where the country doesn't have money. It's not done. 1.14 billion in a country that has spent its rainy day fund, which is its excess crude account, to up to $350,000. I are using 1.14 billion to send cars to Niger. It's a big faux pas. And if the journalist didn't reveal it, wasn't the government going to bring it up and be clean with the people? And that's why people even still complain about the economic sense of building that rail line to Maradi. Coupled with that, obviously you will know that those cars are luxury cars and they are bulletproof. I'm sure probably that's why the price went up like that. But even if they are bulletproof, what's the cost of a bulletproof V8 SUV 2022 model? And was it put out there with due process? I remember when due process department was opened in the government, Madam Obi Ezekwesili used to lead due process. She used to become Madam Due Process then. And the part that hurt me the most in all of this story is the fact that there are indigenous car makers in Nigeria. There's Peugeot Automobile in Kaduna. They didn't order from Peugeot. There's Innocent Motors. There is Nord that makes truck and luxury car. They didn't order from all those people. You sent 1.14 billion to the government of Japan to boost the Japanese economy. Why buying Toyota when you have local producers? The question we should ask is, do you think that even if you want to give a government gift, an American government, for instance, will give a Japanese car maker to another country? They will buy their own Fords. That's why you see that their presidential fleet is filled with their own American cars. Boeing makes the presidential airplane in America. Why can't we also use this to support our own Nigerian businesses? We could have said, okay, Nord, Innocent, other car makers in Nigeria, share this 1.14 billion amongst yourselves, and you make this car to this certain specification, and we deliver to them. It's also a way of putting money back in our economy. But we didn't do that. But we shipped the money overseas. So those are the factors there. And the argument that is for security, you see, I don't have problems with government making a rebuttal on issues. But the argument has to be appropriate and logical. The question is, what defense and patrol of the border would you do with a luxury vehicle? Those vehicles are actually luxury vehicles. And that's why a lot of people are complaining and leave much to be desired. But if they have another argument, they should bring it to the table to counter this argument we've made. It's very important that they do. Yes. All right, the Senate has held crucial talks with security chiefs over the deteriorating security situation in the country, as the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, described the situation as very frightening. Egosan Egubo reports.
For weeks, insecurity has remained the major subject of public discourse. The endless abductions and killings in the Northeast, the Northwest, and the South, and recently around the federal capital. Fears have now heightened, and it seems like there's no more hiding place, not even for those at the seat of power. A closed-door meeting between the leadership of the National Assembly and the security chiefs is convened to find answers to the prevailing security crisis.
This present position where we are is most frightening, because it's like there's nowhere to hide or nowhere to go. It's like insecurity is everywhere, and especially if it is coming to the point of dislocating the security situation where the head of government, or where the government headquartered.
So much is reported to have been invested in security and defense, but the results appear to be slow in coming. The citizens no longer feel safe. Even the federal capital is on the edge.
There are, of course, several arguments whether the resources available to our armed forces and other security agencies are enough or not. Definitely not enough. I don't know of any country where there's enough, really. But even within the scarcity that we have, this administration and this Senate and National Assembly has always prioritized the security of our country.
With an already lean purse, the Nigerian economy is troubled. The security situation is not making things any better. The lawmakers are worried about the impact on the ordinary Nigerian.
I believe that our security agencies and armed forces have been doing their best, but apparently we have to do more to achieve what we desire.
President Buhari has been dealing with the challenge with endless security meetings amid an impeachment threat hanging over him. But the security agencies claim to be on top of the situation.
Quite a lot has happened, quite a lot has been done, quite a lot is being done to ensure that we improve on the security setting across the country. No one is leaving any stone unturned in redressing all the imbalances.
There is pressure on the military to deliver, and time is running out. While the danger continues to linger, Nigerians can only hope that this will soon be a thing of the past. Erusa Higumbo, Arise News.
Right, Tundu, your take on this?
While all these meetings are being held, the clock is ticking. That 6-week ultimatum the Senate gave the president, although I have expressed doubts whether they're actually going to do anything about it, that is there. Oh, by the way, it's 2 weeks. The ASU deadline.
Oh, that's longer.
And we haven't heard a peep about that, which leads me to believe that after 6 weeks, we're not going to hear a peep about impeachment either. But I think what this is just a response to the absolute dire straits of the security in Abuja and the rest of Nigeria. I think a lot of people were kind of comfortable as long as it was happening conveniently in Borno State, which is where it was localized at one point at the beginning of all this nightmare, like 12 years ago. And then it started to spread and nobody really cared, like that poem. What's that Martin Lee Muller poem? When they came for this person, I kept quiet, they came for that person. So, and I think now they're about to come for the lawmakers. They've actually issued direct threats. So now we have this flurry of activity. But it's really so sad to see. So much more could have been done. This has been a complete failure, and they have had meetings. We have had marching orders to no avail. So I'm really not holding my breath at this point. I hate to say it, but I'm not optimistic. And in the backdrop of that, we have this ridiculousness of handing over luxury vehicles to Niger Republic. I mean, the whole situation is just, it doesn't really bestow a lot of confidence.
Dr. Bati?
Okay, one. Look, it's good to see that the security committees of the National Assembly, in the Senate, in the House of Reps, and also, let's say, generally the leadership of the National Assembly considered the insecurity problem in Nigeria important enough for them to say, well, let some of us stay back and not go on recess yet until we see what we can do. Now, last Friday, the House Security Committee met on this same subject. And yesterday, we were told that for many hours, the Senate President and others met with all the security chiefs. Quite an extended meeting, which went on for a very long time. And what is their concern? Their concern is simply that, look, this is a serious problem. What can we do? What else can we look at? And we were told that the National Assembly gave suggestions to the security chiefs. The security chiefs themselves made promises. The one that I note in particular is a promise that has been made by the Inspector General of Police, who also, we were told, had a conference with police commissioners across the country, telling police commissioners across the country to take charge of their commands and to begin, special operations, combing, the areas under their control. Well, good idea. I hope that will make a difference. And I'm also hoping that the Inspector General of Police will make it clear that this operation is about just security, the police doing its work, not for the harassment of innocent citizens, not for extortion, because what he's saying is that there will be special drills by policemen. And I hope that, even the policemen themselves, they are part of it. All of us are involved in this matter. And that is why the federal government is talking about a whole of society, a whole of the nation, approach to the problem. Only yesterday, the police commander, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 12, Bauchi, he was attacked on his way to Abuja from Bauchi. We were told that he was injured. One of his men, was killed, showing that, look, really, nobody is safe. Even the seat of government is not safe. The Brigade of Guards has had to lose some of its men. Some other places close to the Federal Capital Territory have been attacked. So it's very clear that one problem that government needs to solve, whether this administration or the one that will come after in 2023, is the need to protect the lives and property of all Nigerians and everybody living within this space under the principle of the responsibility to protect. So we cannot take from that. We cannot add to it. That's just what government must do, as the Constitution says.
So the Senate leader is having a meeting. Let's see how that pans out. But we've had way too many meetings and nothing has worked. Yes, we must all admit there are failings on the part of this government as regards insecurity. But I want to press it one further and talk as a patriot and as a Nigerian today. Yes, there are failings, but please, we must come together. We must have a bipartisan approach where all the political parties and even presidential candidates now, we must all come together and agree on this insecurity matter, that we want to solve it. Because this is an existential threat against our nation. It is beyond politics now. It is beyond finger pointing that you've done worse, you've done terrible, I'll do it better. May God allow us to get to the elections. Elections will hold in Nigeria by the grace of God. It is time for all of us to come together because Nigeria is fighting a war against its enemies. And when a war happens, everybody comes together. We also saw in Ukraine how billionaire and former chocolatier Petro Poroshenko was on the street with his own guns when the war broke out in Ukraine, and he was former president. Everybody is involved, and they had to defend their country. And that's where we are. That's where we need to all come together. They are attacking Abuja, they are attacking all of us. They are attacking Lagos, they are attacking all of us. The police too should come in strong. And like you said very rightly, Dr. Abbas, it's not a case to extort people. Also, another probable solution I see in my head will be probably maybe it's time now to have a condensation of the forces we have. Because here we keep saying we don't have enough troops on the ground. We've got close to 400,000 police officers. I don't know how many civil defense forces we have. Because if you remember the issue of civil defense, they were set up, to bring about civil law while the civil war when the civil war started. If we can merge them into the police to get a better force in, and probably with the military, then we have a long-term plan of increasing our troop and military size. Because when you look at it, at the time of the Civil War, we had a sizable number of troops, well over 150,000, 200,000. That's still about our troop strength in the military till date. And now we're bigger. Then we're 50 million. Now we're well over 200 million. So we have to get more boots on the ground. All the political leaders must agree that we need to solve this problem once and for all. Then Nigerians should come together. And the government too should also pass the message to the people that we want you to be part of this because we are saving our country now. We are all fighting for Nigeria and it has to be a collective effort. And this is not the time to finger point. That's where I feel we can now start to solve the problem of insecurity and have a collective voice. But where we have staggered voices here and there, it will not augur well for us. And this is a threat to Nigeria. And it's about our own country. Nigeria will survive. That's all.
That's Benno Marie Ogari.